Welcome to Hallam Senior College in the 2021 into 22 information session. We begin by acknowledging country. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to the elders, past, present and emerging. In this session, our presenters will cover a range of topics relating to being ready for 2022. Our presenters are our Pathways Coordinator, Marita Elvish, our Assistant Principal and Head Start Coordinator, Mr Adam Cooper, and our Year Level Coordinator, Ms Shelley Horgy. I'd now like to pass over to Marita Elvish.
So this evening, what we're covering are future opportunities, pathway options, the counselling process and timeline, and who the key contacts and resources are that will help students and parents. If we look at the world of careers, the face of careers has changed dramatically over the last decade. It's a changing world. Students need to be much more flexible than what they've been in the past. And for some of our parents, you may have been in jobs for the last 20 years and maybe only in one job. The world of a student now, what they're looking at is a world where they probably will be in 5 to 6 different careers over their lifetime and maybe have 17 different employers. So the real key thing for our students to take away once they leave Hallam is that they are flexible and they're adaptive. The world of future jobs is changing dramatically as well. If you had said to me a decade ago that I would be counselling students into career pathways like nanotechnology, I would have laughed at you because I had never heard of that word, and it's an emerging technology. Students need to leave Hallam after 13 years with us with specific skills, and we have to understand that the world of work now involves ongoing learning. Whether you're working in customer service, whether you're working in the area of science, learning doesn't stop and it keeps opportunities open. If we look at these areas where there are future growth, the first one is healthcare, and that's reflective of an ageing population. It's reflective of times that we're experiencing at the moment with COVID, where we need to be adapting our healthcare system to emerging viruses, diseases, etc. Also, in the healthcare sector, aged care is a big employment area. Education and training, if we look at our local area and new estates in the city of Casey, on every corner there seems to be a childcare centre and an aged care centre across the road. So education and training, aged care are growing. Construction, again, we are a growing city of Melbourne. We're expanding and construction is everywhere. So that pathway for our tradespeople is a big growth area. Science and technology, particularly those areas that require digital skills, are emerging and growing all the time. In the old days, when I started counselling, it used to be about putting students into one particular category. So they did a careers test, and it may say that they were suitable to careers in science or careers in a specific trade. But in terms of career areas now, what we're looking at is making sure that our students are skilled in a broad range of areas, because if they're going to have 4 to 6 different careers over their lifetime, we can't pigeonhole them or put them into one specific career. And I know that's frustrating for parents when parents say, "What do you want to be?" and your student is saying, "I'm not sure." That's a typical answer, and that answer is okay because the world is changing dramatically. But what we would expect from a student who's gone to Hallam for 13 years is for them to have developed these kinds of skills. And the first type of skill is what is called a transferable skill. So we're looking at problem solving, communication. Digital literacy is a big growth area. Teamwork, financial literacy. So some young people will be in charge of huge budgets. So if I think personally, my son as a 19-year-old manager has just come into doing financial work and is in charge of about $3.5 million worth of stock, and he has to be financially literate. Presentation skills are very important, and no matter what we say, we do judge people on the way they present before they open their mouth. That's just a fact of life. We need our students to think critically, to speak, to be able to key that in with their problem solving, and employers want people who are creative. If we look at technical skills, these are skills that are specific to a particular job. We have a number of VET areas where students are learning those specific key skills. Hairdressing, in terms of being able to cut in hairstyles in particular styles. What they're learning in terms of measurement in building and construction. Things like their white card is an important licence to be able to work in the workplace. First aid, etc. So that's a bit of a background to the history of careers. I think it's really important that parents understand that the world is very different, that students need to not think about one career, but being able to identify their interests, their skills, and that's a matter of talking to each other and about being flexible. If we look at what Hallam offers, we offer the VCE, which is the Victorian Certificate of Education. We offer Vocational Specialisation. So Vocational Specialisation was previously known as VCAL, and it is a VCAL course. And we offer VET, which is the Vocational Education and Training. Some of you, for the second certificate, may have older students who are in Year 11 currently or Year 12. They are doing VCAL, but for a child going into Year 11 next year, they will be undertaking the new kind of VCAL certificate called Vocational Specialisation. If we look at the VCE, it's a more academic program. It is a 2-year commitment. It requires a satisfactory result in a minimum of 16 units. And this is prescribed to us by our VCAR who run the VCE. English is compulsory. It's the only subject that is compulsory, and students must complete that to be able to get their certificate. They must also, going into Year 12, complete at least 4 subjects, 4 Year 12 subjects in 1 year. At Year 11, there's a bit more flexibility. They can start a Unit 1 or Year 11 subject, for example, psychology, find out that they aren't so keen on it, and in Unit 2, they can change into something else. But at Year 12, the second year of the certificate, they're pretty much locked into that subject and they have to complete it all year. Again, in Year 11, that English is compulsory. They can put in there as well some VET subjects if the student isn't really sure about whether they want to go a university pathway or they want to go a trades pathway. There's flexibility in that certificate. At the end of Year 12, they will also receive an ATAR, which is what universities use to determine who they're going to take into their course. If we look at the VCE subjects, they're very much theory-based. So when I teach Shakespeare, for example, in a VCE subject, VCE English, it's very traditional, it's very academic. But when I teach English, for example, in VCAL, the VCAL is English or the specialisation subject, it's very more geared to the workplace. So some subjects do have practical components. So if we look at our sciences, there's a lot of practical areas, our VCD, our studio arts. With VCE, students must complete regular homework. They must do revision throughout the week and on the weekend and holidays. It's just a must for a student to be able to keep up with the workload. VCE is assessed through school assessed coursework, SACs, which all subjects will have, particularly in Year 12, and what are called SATs, school assessed tasks, which are longer projects that are run in subjects like your studio art or your vet IT subjects. In Year 12 next year, it is very important to think that the assessment is a little bit different. Last year, this year, it was either an S or an N, but next year, the SACs really count towards that ATAR score. If we look at the ATAR, that stands for the Australian Tertiary Admissions Rank. So basically, it's based on those scores that you get through your SACs, your SATs, and your exams. Next year, for students, we say that they must do English and 5 other subjects, but some of our students are currently doing a Year 12 subject in Year 11, and that can contribute to their ATAR. It's either based on 5 or 6 subjects. And again, as I said earlier, this is the way universities determine who they're going to take for a course and who will need to look at some other pathways. Next year, students will look at doing 5 studies. So for many of our students, that means dropping one subject. And it is really important when you think about dropping this subject that you think through the options very carefully. You look at your results in those subjects. You look at your passion for that subject, your interest, and whether it's a prerequisite for something that you may need at university. The 5th subject in terms of the ATAR will give students a 10% added to their overall score. And to look at that, there's an example here. So if you look at Colin, his English is always scored first, and he got a score of 31 out of 50. Then if we look, he got a 40 for health, he got a 34 for psychology, and a 36 for business. They're scored out of 50. And then his 2 weaker subjects or lower subjects in terms of study score were VCD and further maths. He got a 36 and a 28. He actually gets 10% of that score, and then that is added towards his ATAR. Now, people say 10% is not much, but in reality, that 10% can move a student up in terms of ATAR. So it is very important to look at all your subjects on an equal basis. So that's VCE. For our students doing VCE, the biggest decision you'll have is what subject am I going to drop, if you like, and also the things about going for an ATAR, doing research into universities, what they require, etc. Okay, if we look at our students in terms of their vocational specialisation, this is a new certificate in a way, in that it's replacing a VCAL option. And for our Year 10 students that are looking at a VCAL pathway, we're looking at an emerging certificate, a new certificate that will come along in 2025 that will be a VCE certificate. But for our current students, they'll be looking at VCAL changing its name and becoming what's called a vocational specialisation. What happens here is that for our students, it's an applied senior certificate. So it's practical, it's competency-based. They can study VCE units. So we have a number of students that do outdoor ed, for example. Workplace learning may be required. So some of our students go out into the workplace as part of their course. So there are 4 compulsory subjects that students must do. They're literacy-based, numeracy-based, personal development skills, work-related skills, and they must do a VET subject. If we look at the new vocational specialisation, it runs on a formula like VCE. So students must complete 16 units as they do in VCE. So they're at an equal level in terms of formulas. Again, as I said, there are those 5 compulsory subject areas. So I will hand over now to Mr. Cooper, who's going to talk about the specialisations within the certificate. Thank you.
So as Ms Elvidge has described, there will be a shift towards the new Vocational Specialisation certificate happening between now and 2023, and this will be an opportunity for many of our students to take up some of the opportunities that the school provides as far as workplace learning. A big focus of the new specialisation certificate will be on workplace learning and on industry pathways. At Hallam, many of the opportunities that come to students allow them to immerse themselves in the world of work, and these opportunities include structured workplace learning, which is a formalised version of work experience where students can actually do a work experience activity that actually contributes to their overall certificate completion. We also have a specialised program within the school named Head Start. Head Start operates across a number of schools in the local area, of which Hallam is the lead school of a particular cluster. And within the Head Start program, students are able to undertake school-based apprenticeships and traineeships. This means that students are allowed to engage within an apprenticeship or traineeship while also completing their Year 12 qualification. We have about 26 students currently at Hallam undertaking a Head Start pathway in a number of different industry areas. So extended pathways linked to the vocational specialisation will include ongoing TAFE programs as students progress from a Certificate 2 level course into Certificate 3 and beyond. And sometimes those students will also undertake diplomas and extended certificates that allow them a pathway into university. Any student that's doing a vocational specialisation course from now through to 2023 will have the opportunity to go on to university if they choose. Their pathway becomes a diploma level course within a TAFE. Students are also able to undertake apprenticeships and traineeships, as I've discussed earlier, and students are also allowed to go into pathways into full-time or part-time employment, and this is a focus of the school and something that we encourage students to be doing as part of an adult-based pathway beyond their senior school. A big focus at Hallam is on vocational training. We have an extended VET course offering within the school. We have over 16 vets aligned for 2022 and beyond. VET certificates are nationally recognised certificates once students have them completed. They offer students the opportunity to engage with practical and hands-on training specific to an industry area. They focus on industry-specific skills, so students will actually get in and learn how to become workers within a construction area, how to become hairdressers, how to become people working within a hospitality setting or within a sports field. All units within vocational education are competency-based, and they're also given a graded level of achievement next year as part of the college school assessment process. Students that successfully complete their VET studies can also contribute their results to their VCE, and some of our vets are scored towards VCE. You'll see here now a list of the vets that we have on offer at the college, and you'll see we've got them split up into scored and unscored options. A wide range of different certificates there. We are one of the largest, if not the largest, provider of vets within a school setting in the local area. So students that come to Hallam have a huge range of possibilities in front of them as far as their industry-specific skill set goes. You'll see here we have a wide range of scored vets. Students undertaking VCE can actually use these towards their overall score for their VCE certificate. Future possibilities for Hallam moving into 2022 and beyond, we are looking at 4 new offerings within the vet area. These are being explored currently. We have offerings we're looking at within electrotechnology, within rail fundamentals, which are the basics for entering into a transport area. Integrated technology traineeship is looking at the new Tech Futures program that the department is rolling out across the state, and also pathways into engineering. And this is engineering both at the fabrication level and onto higher levels of engineering beyond Certificate 2 level. So these are things that the school is currently exploring for 2022 and beyond. I'm going to throw back now to Miss Elvish, and she's going to talk about some resources that you can access in order to choose the most suitable pathway.
Okay, so when we look at a student moving from year 10 to year 11 and making a decision about whether they'll go into a VCE pathway or a VCAL pathway, it's probably one of the biggest decisions they've had to make in terms of their subject selection in their entire schooling. It is really important that our students are well resourced. And when we look at the availability of resources, places like VCAR publish a Where to Now guide that students will receive in the next couple of weeks. It's important that we consult the Hallam Senior College Handbook that has all the programs there and outlines each subject and what you have to do in those subjects and the types of work that you'll be undertaking. VTAC, who are in charge of working with students going into universities, also publish a guide for Year 11s for 2022. And there are some techniques and some activities that they can learn in this guide that will be available in the next couple of weeks. The school has a number of different learning platforms. So if we look at Job Outlook, this is one that any student or parent can access, and it is a resource that's invaluable. It has a number of different careers and what they entail in terms of skills, tasks, future growth, money, which is always important to students, and basically it also allows students to do some career testing. We have our official careers page, and that's available for both parents and students to access. It has virtual work experience opportunities there. It has information about scholarships, applying for universities. Again, it has another guide to different jobs and the skills that those jobs involve. We've also purchased a new online platform called the Careers Department, and students who have been doing life hacks as part of that MAX program have been working with Mr. Moss on doing some careers profiling. That's another innovative website where students can experience virtual work experience and get up-to-date information on careers, and also do their resumes as well. So I want to reassure both students and parents that we are very well resourced. You can never read enough about careers, and these resources are something that parents and students should go through together, but we will also introduce them to these things at school as well. Thank you.
So I'm now going to give you the information about the process that's going to follow once you've had a look at all of this information. So for our current Year 10 students moving into Year 11 next year, we have a Discovery Week program. It will run from Tuesday the 17th to Friday the 20th of August, and this time will be spent helping the students prepare their subject selection, look at their strengths, what subjects they might like to choose, and the pathway that they might like to take. At the moment on campus, there are course counselling interviews that are open for booking. So if you log on to your campus as a parent, you will be able to make your course counselling booking with one of the counsellors. You only need to make an appointment with one of the counsellors, not all of them. And in this interview, we will talk through all of the different options that are available, and you'll be able to choose your subjects for 2022. Okay, we do encourage parents to attend that interview. In fact, we would really like you to be there and be involved in that. Parents will need to sign off on the subjects that are selected, and that's mainly due to the fact that some subjects do actually attract a fee, and we need to make sure that parents are available to be able to make those payments. So those course counselling bookings are available and live now for you to make your selection. If we can't have parents on site due to COVID, we will be able to have WebEx meetings with you and with your student as well. And just as a final reminder, we do have our key contacts and people that can help you with some more conversations and follow-up conversations around these subject selections. So Marita Elvish, who was speaking to you just before, our Careers and Pathways Manager. Mr. Greg Latham is an industry coordinator around the Head Start program. And of course, as the year level sub-school leader, I'm available to help talk your students through their subject selections as well. Thank you.